So, what if your dreams weren't a collection of mysterious symbols at all, but were actually a map of emotional physics? Today, we're going to explore a whole new way of looking at dreams as the mind's brilliant system for handling pressure. And to really get how it works, let's dive into a pretty intense example.
Okay, so picture this. You're at home, you've got important guests over, but inside it is just total chaos. Water is literally bursting from a pipe, flooding the hall, and you have this gut-wrenching fear that the entire building is about to come crashing down. Believe it or not, this was a real dream someone reported.
So what do we do with that? I mean, is it just a random anxiety-fueled nightmare? Or is the mind up to something way more sophisticated here? That's the big question we're unpacking. And trust me, the answer might just change how you think about your own dreams forever.
To solve this puzzle, first we really need to understand the whole scene. This isn't just about a burst pipe, It's about an entire emotional landscape that's under serious pressure. So, let's meet the key players in this little internal drama.
Let's think about the dream's elements like characters in a play, right? The home is basically the dreamer's sense of self, their inner world. Then you've got the father and a visiting beloved writer, and they represent this core tension, the pull between tradition and new creative ideas. The family's there to represent continuity. And all these forces are stuck under one roof, building pressure, until, boom, chaos just erupts.
So how in the world do we make sense of these characters and all this chaos? Well, a typical dream dictionary is not going to cut it here. We need a totally different kind of toolkit, one that's designed to map the dream's energy, not just its symbols. And it's called the Brain Kinematics Model, or BKM for short.
BKM suggests something pretty radical, that a dream is actually a visual of your brain managing and releasing all this built-up emotional and cognitive pressure, what the model calls strain. It's kind of like watching a weather map of your own mind, showing these high and low-pressure systems moving around and resolving themselves while you sleep.
And according to this model, there are two main forces at play. First, you've got vertical strain. That's the raw emotional power, right? The huge spike of panic you feel when that pipe bursts. Then there's longitudinal strain, and that's the story, the narrative, pushing forward, the part of your mind trying to solve the problem and get to some kind of resolution. A dream is basically this constant dance between those two things, raw feeling and the need for a story.
So now that we're armed with our BKM toolkit, let's go back to the dream and actually chart its emotional journey. Because when we map out the flow of that stream from the beginning to the end, a really fascinating pattern starts to emerge.
Okay, let's follow the timeline here. The strain, that pressure, starts to rise when the important guests arrive. Then, bam, the pipe bursts and the emotional strain just skyrockets to this climax with the fear of collapse. But then, something really interesting happens. The dreamer remembers a story about his father's generosity, and the pressure actually dips. Then a quick attempt to fix the pipe fails, which causes another smaller spike before things finally settle down as the family comes together.
And you'll notice the dream's emotional journey isn't some simple bell curve. It's this complex, double-peaked wave. Now that is a huge clue. It tells us the mind isn't just dealing with one big problem. It's juggling multiple, overlapping conflicts in real time. This isn't random noise at all. It's an incredibly sophisticated balancing act. So we've mapped the flow. But what about that central, terrifying image of the ruptured pipe? Well, in BKM, this isn't just some random detail. It is the absolute emotional epicenter of the entire dream. It's the point where all the forces we've been talking about just collide. In the BKM model, this focal point has a special name, the center of image. It's that one single, powerful moment where all the dream's pressures, sensory, emotional, and the story itself all crash together and become one unforgettable picture.
And this just illustrates it perfectly. The ruptured pipe is the center of image because you have the form. That's the house, the dreamer's inner structure. You have the motion, the violent flood of water, all that raw, subconscious strain being released. And then you have the continuum, that powerful fear of collapse that just perfectly fuses the structure and the motion into one image.
So here's the crucial point, the main takeaway. The ruptured pipe isn't a symbol for a hidden problem, not in the way we usually think about it. In this framework, it is the problem. It's the literal visualization of the mind releasing an overwhelming amount of subconscious pressure. It's a safety valve going off.
And this brings us to the ultimate purpose of a dream like this. I mean, if it's a pressure release, what is it trying to do? Well, the goal isn't just to vent, it's to find a new, more stable state of being. So just look at this process. First, the mind starts in a state of overload.
Second, the dream creates a powerful image to discharge that strain. That's our flood. But it doesn't just stop there. Third, it then uses other tools like a memory or a story to dampen the emotional wave and guide the system back toward balance. The dream is actively rebalancing itself.
And that, right there, is the really powerful idea here. According to this model, your dreams aren't just passively telling you stories about your day. They are dynamic, active systems that are working night after night to process overload, manage strain, and literally rebuild your mind into a more stable state.
So the next time you wake up from a strange or an intense dream, maybe don't just ask, what did that mean? Instead, try asking, what pressure was my mind releasing? What is your mind trying to rebalance tonight?